Planting season's just around the corner, and Chris Masters from Soil Pro is out touring the proving grounds today, kind of overlooking our summer plots and getting a plan together, a custom blend of the Soil Pro products that we're going to be applying on our plots to make sure we have the best fall crops. And that's going to help attract deer and get us through the hunting season. But also, Chris, it's not just about attracting deer during hunting season, but it's also looking forward and what are those microbes or those populations going to be doing come spring in that critical time as we get into antler genesis and fawn production early spring before we even plant our next summer crop.
Exactly. You know, it's one of those things, we all want immediate microwave responses. And everybody's getting ready to gear up for the fall, for deer season, for hunting season. And it's great to have these, what we're trying to approach now, but it's also good to look ahead. Let's see what we're going to be doing in the spring and the summer. So there's going to be a lot, not just preparation, but we're also going to need justification of why do we spray now and in the fall and try to address the immediate needs, but then justify this type of investment going into the spring and summer of next year, because everything that we're starting to do now is ultimately going to affect what comes in April, May, June, and July. So it's good to even address that, but also get what we want right now.
We want that, you know, maximum return on our investment.
Absolutely.
So we want venison in the freezer this fall, and we want bigger antlers even next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. So Chris, our plots look amazing this year. We sprayed the Soil Pro early on in the spring, and we've been spraying over time.
Absolutely, yep.
And planted a diverse blend from green cover seed, have great growth. I mean, I'm 6'4", 6'5" with my boots on. I mean, that buckwheat, you know, is chest tall on me.
Yeah.
Just a huge amount of forage and biomass buildup. And you go through here and there's browse all through here. And walk us through, let's just say the spring program, what we were doing then, applying Soil Pro, looking forward to the fall or building this crop up. Tell me what was going on there.
Sure, I gotta say first off, Daniel, that this is probably the best I've seen since working with you all. The plots have looked. So,
absolutely.
You know, it has really been one of those progressive building blocks, and we're seeing now the proof is in the pudding, so that's good to have that. But the spring actually began to not only help us find germination, emergence, standability, influencing the soil, but it's also that it sets the stage for the fall, because I don't want to get too sciencey, but every impact of biology also affects downstream, meaning that what we did in the spring is going to hand that baton off to how effective we can in the fall. And so a lot of times that's calcium, a lot of times it's macronutrients that we look at a soil report and we say, man, we need to zone in on this one, we need to focus this one. And the good thing about biology is that it's very flexible. It works with many different styles, backpack sprayers, ATV sprayers, drone applications, tractor. So that allows us to spray it multiple different ways. But the good thing about it is in the spring, we're building blocks, macronutrients, micronutrients, so that way when we get here to the fall, when we hand it off to whatever seed blend we're going to plant or how our management style is, we're at a much level productivity from a biological and fertility standpoint, so it only gets stronger. So again, it's compounding, it's building, it's looking ahead. And so there's some dramatic benefits that take place in the fall, but they started in the spring.
You keep saying biology, and we talk about how important biology is for crop production. We call it the release process, releasing creation's potential. And we see this crop, and this is incredible, the best crop we've ever had in this plot, but it really starts at the biology and in the soil, right? Not just the plant. We call it the underground herd. What's going on underneath this? This is like a iceberg, right? Over 70% of what's really going on is underneath, the roots and all that. So we're really focusing on those populations of the biology, the microbes and everything in the soil. We want really healthy soil so we get these really good crops.
You know, that's the thing is, I want to beat a dead horse, but that's what I keep coming back to. Biology, biology, biology. For maybe years, for ease of use, people have worked on and just use triple 20 or triple 10 or triple 13 because it's been convenient or it's been local.
And we're going to call that chemistry.
That's chemistry.
Right, the synthetic stuff. That
Exactly.
takes chemical processes to create that. It's synthetic. You're using
Right.
biology and organic, those nutrients just in a natural form.
Sure. So the microbes, whenever I first met you all and we actually pulled our first initial soil samples in April of what would have been 24,
Yeah.
pH was lower, organic matter was lower, overall fertility lower, and the overall surplus or the bank of nutrients were lower. Now you look at that and you say, okay, that's a starting point. What we've done with biology, both in the spring of 24, fall of 24, and then now continued into 25 and 26, your fertility levels have gone up.
Yeah.
Last year we checked those. We're going to check those again this year to verify. Your organic matter has gone up. Your all of these things that are on paper that we want to see move have moved in a positive direction. And where did that start? It didn't start with ripping the ground.
No.
It didn't start with more fertility being applied. It started with liquid, natural microbes going into the soil, consuming, multiplying, releasing, and then we build. And I think that's one of the things, Daniel, is, you know, how does a guy watching this, or how does the viewer, how does he build something when he can't see it?
Yeah.
And that's where we come back to biology. Unless we don't have biology, we don't have fertility. And we need God-given sun, we need all these things working, but the products that we put together, they consume. They'll go into the ground and consume, and then when timing and nature has worked, they release. And that's where we begin to see all of our calcium levels go up, nitrogen levels go up.
Why is it so important to see those going up? You know, we look at a soil test and we see, you know, NP&K or calcium, and we're like, you know, all right, what does that mean? What does that really help us do when we're talking about, you know, plant health, soil health, and then also just bigger antlers?
Sure. Well, you know, there's an exponential change between a calcium or a pH that's at 5 versus at 6 versus at 7. And the closer that we get to 7 means that's a happy medium point to where all of our essential nutrients, there's 16, they begin to become more freely and available. And so again, tradition would tell us to go out and buy lime and to get that response. But that response is very, very delayed.
Yeah.
And you need help with moisture. You need help with other things that you cannot control. And so what we are doing, we're bringing in certain microbes and species that literally all they do, they just want to drink calcium.
They're mobilizing it.
They're mobilizing it, right? So they're going to the bank, finding what's in the bank, saying, hey, this soil right here has 6,000, 10,000 pounds of calcium. You can't see it, right?
Yeah.
But it begins to take it, consume it, mobilize it, and free it up. That's the whole process.
And it might even be at a depth in the soil that the plants can't get to or something. They can actually move it that direction
move it up.
too. Yeah.
That's right. We call that percolation. So it percolates things up to the top of the soil, and whether, you know, the hard pans are 6 inches deep or a foot deep, or like where we're at in the Ozarks, I mean, 6, 7, 8 inches, you don't have much to work with, right?
That's deep.
So we want to be able to find what's there and actually make it available. And the way that God has designed nature is that these plants have the ability, if you just supply it, they'll give back. So we build this right here, we plant over this, we decompose it, and it gives back. And that's why
for
you
our
guys,
next crop.
for your
our
next
fall
crop. Exactly,
So
exactly.
all those nutrients are there for that, right there for that fall crop coming out of the ground, which is already just really palatable and attractive, but now it's just nutrient dense.
Yes, and that nutrient dense doesn't just play into a large plot like this. It plays into hidey holes,
Yeah.
the kill spots. You know, those are places where we want to be in the stand, we want to see the antlers, we want to take the shot. And that's why you need the highest active soil to be able to do that. So there's products that we supply to the user, get the calcium levels, bring them up immediately. And then that immediate release, along with the biology,
Yeah.
it starts to take something that is, you know, shaded or covered to where there's not a lot of sun, and it can boost that emergence faster, boost the growth faster, so that way whenever we're sitting in the stand come October, November, December, we still have a good nutritional value forage
Right.
that we can take out.
So there's two ways to look at that. First thing I'm going to look at is opening day. I want a big buck at 20 yards. How do I have really attractive forage? And You know, deer are concentrate select feeders. We've talked about this a lot. They have that really narrow snout, and they're not just gonna stand here. You look out through here, there's browse everywhere, but they just haven't come right here and just browse it to the ground, take 2 steps, browse it to the ground. They've gone through and they've picked exactly which leaves have the nutrient content that they need that day, or maybe they even know they're gonna need down the road. They can actually store that. And they've picked and chosen all through here. They've picked the best and they've left the rest, which is what you want. That means they're taking in the very best. So those deer are expressing their full potential.
Right.
And in a hidey hole food plot, if they can sense all that, on a hidey hole food plot, maybe your plot's a little tastier than your neighbors across the fence.
Exactly.
And that makes your plot more attractive and a better, you know, ups your odds of maybe that buck sliding into your plot before he gets over to your neighbors. And on the hidey hole point, you know, that 20 to 30 yards, that's the bottleneck, right? We want to make that as attractive as we can because we want that deer within bow range. That's kind of number one, I would say, attracting deer with high quality nutrition.
Sure.
Number two is we want high quality nutrition throughout the entire season, into winter, into spring. Our fall crop is actually going to be providing, we're planning ahead.
Absolutely.
We're hedging our bets for the spring. We're going to have, you know, some clovers in there and even our cereal grains that will be attractive late winter and into the spring before we plant our summer crop. So we want really healthy plants so we can feed deer from a herd management perspective throughout the entire winter, that stressful period. And so talk to me about how applying Soil Pro now plans for that entire process and gets us into spring.
Sure. So in the fall, what we're looking, again, what you just mentioned in the spring, we're going to take products that not only get us out of the summer months to where the soil has become sluggish. You all have had ample amount of rain here, but those watching may have been in a drought or a dry area. So all of that does is just slow the whole engine down.
Okay.
And so what we want to do is restart the engine, stoke it back up, not only just for the immediate putting seed in the ground, getting it out of the ground, but again, looking at forecasting, we don't know what's going to come in April, May, June of next year. But as long as we can do work now and invest in raising the nutrition and invest in raising the biology in the fall, that sets us at a higher level come the following spring.
Yeah.
So whenever we do find conditions that are dry, when we do find conditions that are over wet or we have compaction problems, we address those not at the immediate. This is not about curing the problem. This is about preventing the problem. And so prevention is now. Yeah. Curing is later. And none of us have that time. We don't have that time. Yeah. You know, just because maybe the plots or property is too far from our house or we don't live on the property, time is valuable.
Yep.
And so if we can make an investment now in the fall that'll set us much better come 6-7 months down the road, why would we not? Yeah. And so that's what we're doing with the collection of our products, nutritionals and or all natural products on our website. We have kits, 1 acre kits, 5 acre kits.
And some of those kits are like, you give the option of spraying once, you're talking about time.
Yep. Spraying
once, spraying twice. How does that affect what's going on and what you're putting out?
So there's a couple ways of why that affects, whether it's a 1 pass or a 2 pass, is the timing of the year and do you have the ability to spray twice or do I really don't have the ability to spray once? But we try to make that easy or an easy fit for the purchase, for the person who's spraying those. We really want to address the soil. That's our biggest thing, is how can we impact or get the material at least first on the soil. It's great to have foliar sprays and we can help a lot of times with that. But again, the bulk of what we are doing is all soil influenced. And so we want to, whether it's the spring, whether it's the fall, our first application, even if it's just one time, we want to make it the biggest effort and put our biggest energy on that one-time pass right on the soil. Even if we don't get a spray again later on, we're going to make sure that we get that first pass on the soil.
And if you're not disking and you're planting blends, right, you're feeding those populations, you're helping them along the way. This is all a process. It's not just, I'm doing this and it works. And that's all I have to do. I mean, it's part of this process, and you get the most bang for your buck when you hedge your bets with diversity and no-tilling and all those things together.
Sure, just like you would have a diverse species or a blend, that's exactly what Soil Pro is doing. For you, the user, the purchaser, the buyer, is bringing them a diverse collection of beneficial microorganisms that are going to address all 16 nutrients. Not just one, not just nitrogen, not just calcium, not just potassium, but all 16. So by doing that, we're bringing balance, we're bringing uniformity to the soil, we're leveling things out that maybe have been damaged 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But just like you guys have been doing with the release process, all of that is to what? Benefit the soil, the legacy of the property, bringing in deer, holding deer. So when we look at deer size, deer antler size, all of that can be influenced by simply looking at the health of the soil.
It all starts in the soil. It all starts in the soil.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, PH Outdoors, Steel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Soil Pro Outdoors, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Chris, one more thing. Some guys, they don't understand this is a process. We call this the release process. 2 years, it's really fast to improve some of this. Whether we're talking habitat or food plots, 2-3 years as a natural process, this stuff takes time and you have to build. You kept saying there at the beginning, these are like building blocks, and we have to set a really good foundation. Folks, this was just covered in cedars, this plot. It was just big, large cedars, an old pasture, old field that had grown up in cedars. We cleared it out. I mean, it was just rocky through here, bare, and that was 9-8 years ago, and now we're finally at our best crop, and we've been doing good practices down the road, but it does take some time. But using these practices, there's no doubt this crop is looking better than it would if we hadn't done anything or done different practices faster. Chris, just talk real fast. I'm thinking in my head, there's guys that have established plots, there's guys that have new plots or plots that are just always just browse to the ground. So their soil's just really taking a beating because they're just taking, or the sun's beating down on it, right? And there's guys that have really good established plots. Is this a one size fits all? Is this, they need to call you and tell you about the soil type, what their plots are like? How can we prescribe the best thing for those plots?
Sure, I mean, we try to make it as easy as possible. And we want to be able to, whether you buy one product or collection of products, we want the purchaser, the buyer, to be able to take that product, go out and apply it to their plot with efficiency and with the return. There's directions on the product labels, how to use it. But so, I mean, there is a fork in the road. You can go the custom route, you can be more specialized. We would love to have a conversation with you.
That's what we do.
That's what
You've been working with us. We've been doing custom blends. Some of our clients use that to really hone in specifically, what do we need on this specific site?
Right. And that may not be for all. And again, we have a ton of customers that don't go that route. And we have a handful of customers that do. And it's about, what do you want to learn? We can go deep, we can stay on the top, it doesn't matter. But I think one thing that I was impressed by working with you all in this, even here at Tombstone, when we first started, your pH was in the low 5s. That was just as early as 2024, April of 24. And you all are pushing over 6, close to 7. And you're talking about how fast do you get there? Not only with the release process, not only with the diversity of the blends, but with the diversity of the biology that we're bringing to the table. You're talking about 2 years to be able to accomplish. I was in a meeting once, and the guy with the USDA said, we're going to do cover crops with the goal of increasing organic matter by 1.7 years. I'm sorry, but I was looking around the room and I think some of these guys ain't gonna make it 7 years. We need to be able to do this fast. And we do that by incorporating the biology that is needed, that is balanced, and then getting the right plant species. And we need the help from God with nature and water and all those things that we can't control. But yeah, Daniel, you can get there. Whether you're small, whether you're big, or you have all the equipment or don't have all the equipment, Whether you decide to go simple or you decide to go custom, we're just here to have a conversation, help lead these guys and direct them along the way, and get the best success out of their plots as possible.
That's right. Well, we hope this helps you kind of help plan for, those hidey hole food plots and your big, large feeding plots. Get you into winter, have really healthy food plots to have healthy deer and great hunting. Chris, what you just said, it's all up to the Creator and His plan. And so often we forget that. We try to take control of our lives when we should be giving it to the Creator. I encourage you to slow down this week. Check out the Creator, learn what He has to say about your life and the purpose He has. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.